Hi, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. My name's Ford from Son of a Stitch, and this week I'm going to be teaching you how to deal with one of the most dreaded components you'll find in a cross stitch pattern, the confetti stitch. Well, here at Caterpillar Cross Stitch, we are all about cross stitch, and we upload helpful and hilarious, to me at least, videos about it every single week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and in particular, if you like this video, give it a like and leave me a comment down below so that I know I should make more content like it. Likewise, if there's something you'd like to see me address or a question you'd like me to answer on the channel, leave that in the comments as well, and I'll add it to my list of future video ideas. And I want to take just a moment before we dig in to remind you to join the Caterpillar Cross Stitch VIP Stitch Club. When you join, you'll get 10% off your first order, you'll get a free ebook with 8 free cross-stitch patterns in it, and you'll get a digital download containing our top 10 cross-stitching tips. So make sure you click that link down there in the description to get all of those great perks. Now, confetti stitch is one of those terms that gets a little bit confusing because people use it to refer to two different things. The first is a bunch of speckled colors inside a wider field of stitched area. So if you have a sky that has some speckles of lighter and darker blues in it in order to create a gradient, those are a little bit difficult because they require a little bit of extra counting and they can be a little bit confusing and a little bit hard to see what the benefit is going to be when you're all done while you're doing it. But they're not as hard to deal with because there are stitches around them that you can use to bury your threads, so you know what to do with them. They're unpleasant to stitch, but they're not hard. So the kind of confetti stitching that I'm going to be talking about today is when you have little individual single stitches just floating, lost in space, like Will Robinson. So those are the ones that I'm going to teach you how to deal with today. And I'm going to teach you 3 main ways that I deal with them: traveling, weaving, and pinning. So let's take a look at those. Now, obviously, the simplest way to handle confetti stitches is just to run the thread as far as you need to in order to be able to reach the next stitch. This is commonly referred to as traveling with the thread. That can create a problem when you go to frame or finish the stitch. I'll show you what I mean by putting some white paper behind the fabric here. You'll notice that because there's a high amount of contrast between the black thread and the white fabric, I can actually see very clearly where those lines are running behind the fabric. Because there's a lower level of contrast between the pink and the white, it's much less visible, and that may be acceptable to you. But even if I later fill this area in with a lighter color, especially if it's close to the fabric color like a white or a light blue, I will probably still be able to see this black thread running behind it. So for me, that makes a not optimal solution when I have that high level of contrast. Now, if running a light-colored thread behind a dark-colored fabric, it's much less noticeable. So those are all things to take into consideration when making that decision. You can just run those threads as far as you need to, and then when you get close to some more established stitching, just go ahead and bury your thread under there in the way that you typically would. But if this is going to be a problem, then obviously we need to have a different method. So let me show you a couple of those. The first option would be a combination of a loop start and a finish I call weaving it in. So we're going to start this with a loop start so that we don't have to worry about a tail or securing our thread to start the stitch. I'm going to use the method where we do it from the front, which is just to bring that loop close down right to the surface of the fabric and then just pop the bite of that through there. Bite, B-I-G-H-T, a term from knotting and rope working, refers to the looped end. So then I'm going to just complete my stitch as normal. And then I'm going to turn it over. This is where, if you're working on a small hoop especially, stitching in the well like I do can be super handy because I'll have easier access to the back. So I'll turn this over. And I'm going to switch to a smaller and ideally sharper needle. So instead of this size 24 tapestry needle that I've been using because it's 14 count Aida, I'm going to switch to this smaller embroidery needle. I don't know if you can see there that that's sharp. This will make it a little bit easier because I'm going to be splitting the weave of my Aida. These needles have smaller eyes though and are a lot harder to thread. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back under the stitch that I already did, but at the same time I'm actually going to split the weave of the Aida. It makes it a little easier if I bubble that surface up by pushing from the underside and push my needle through there. See how my needle is actually passing under some of the strands of the fabric? Now before I pull that all the way through, because it's very difficult to retrieve, I'm going to flip my fabric back over and I'm going to make sure that I can't see my needle. I've gone a little too deep here, I can see, because I can see my needle through the fabric there. So I'm actually going to try that again. Make sure to pull my stitch tight again because I'm going to need that to be tight. So if I dig too deep into the weave of the fabric when doing this, my needle will be visible from the other side. And if my needle is visible, then my thread will be visible. That's better. So now I'm just going to pull that through. And sometimes I will then turn around and go back the other way, just to put a little bit of extra friction holding that thread in place. And then I will trim that as close as I can. So there I've got exactly one black stitch hanging out in the middle of my fabric without an unsightly thread running behind it. And even once I put my wide card back behind it, much more difficult to see. Like if you really look, you can see the faintest shadow of it there, but only you will know that, so don't freak out about that. But that makes it much less visible what I've done. I want to take just a moment here to extol the virtue of the community that has sprung up around the Caterpillar Cross Stitch brand. You can find that in the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Facebook group or in the comments of the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Instagram feed. So I strongly recommend you check both of those out. There's an amazing community of stitchers who are more than willing to share all of their knowledge and insights, and it's an amazing resource for anyone, no matter how much experience you have as a stitcher. Now the final technique that I'm going to show you is kind of a modified pin stitch. I call it a confetti stitch because this is the only thing I use this for. So we start by making a loop start from the top, just like before. Make sure we pull that bite down through. And kind of wiggle it back and forth to make sure we're good and flush against the surface of the fabric. Now hold on to that with your offhand to keep that tight while you come up through the center of the stitch that you're doing, making sure that your needle pierces the thread as it is on top. That piercing is what's going to stop it from pulling and keep it intact. So then we're going to go down on one side, making 1/2 of the second leg of our stitch, and then we're going to do the same thing again to make the other half. The reason we're doing this is the very tight turns and small stitches that we're making put a lot of friction between the thread and the fabric. So then we're going to come back up through again, and you'll know you're in the right spot because it will be very difficult to push your needle through. And pull that back up to the top. Then I'm going to pull that tight a little bit. I'm going to get my scissors as close down to the surface of that stitch as I can. And I'm going to snip it off. The stitch is a little bit fluffy, but because it's an isolated stitch, we want it to be a little bit more dark anyway. You can see that looks very neat on the back, very neat on the front, without any threads running behind. So this is, even though it's more work, is my favorite way of dealing with a confetti stitch. Well, those are my top 3 ways of dealing with confetti stitches that are just floating alone out there lost in space. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a little thumbs up icon down there and click subscribe so you don't miss the next knowledge drop that we put out. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I will see you next time.